Hi everybody, this is Oksana. In this video we're going to make this fun little pendant. It uses only one piece of 18 gauge round wire, but then it does use some thinner wire as well to make all of these little connections that you see here. But it's a really cool, fun way to trap an oval shaped stone, which is what I have here. So if you want to see how I did this, just keep watching. The wire I'm going to be using today is 18 gauge round dead soft copper, so it's a little bit thicker than the 20 gauge you might have seen me use, which I use more often. But I really want this pendant to be nice and sturdy, and I just have one piece of the wire and it is 17 inches, and then my stone, it's a little bit on the larger side here, which is why I wanted the thicker wire. It's over an inch, a little bit over an inch, or if you're doing millimeters, probably about 35, maybe 34 millimeters. And it is a pink opal, and it is oval shaped, really pretty stone. So the first thing we're going to do is find the middle of our wire and just kind of hold it in the middle and put your stone on it like this. So I'm going to flip it to the back so you can see what I'm doing. So this is the bottom of the pendant, and this is the top. I'm just holding it upside down because then I can really, hold it close and you can see better. So I'm holding it across the bottom. You don't want to do it really high towards the middle, but you also don't want to do it like super low like this. Just kind of towards the bottom, but not the very, very bottom like this. And what you're gonna do, it's easiest for me if I just kind of pinch the stone and the wire between my fingers and hold them, and then use my other hand to bend these wire ends around. But it's up to you. However, whatever's easiest for you to bend them and get them from back to front. So now we have this wire flat up against the back, and then if we come to our front here, here are these little wire ends kind of facing, they're facing you if you're holding it like this, but they're kind of hitting my camera, so I'm going to face them upwards. So I'm going to keep bending them with my fingers until they are just completely bent across the front like this. And now it's easiest for me to hold the sides where the wires are. I'm holding the wires, and then I also put a finger here so that the stone, because the stone can just slip through. So I'm kind of pressing down this way and then up this way, and that way I'm holding the stone in here. And what we're gonna do now with these wires, we're gonna start with whichever one is on top. And so for me, this one is, so I'm just gonna put a little curve into it like this. And this wire, I'm gonna curve that one next as well. Okay, so this is kind of moving around a little bit, so I'm just adjusting it, and again pressing down with these two fingers, trying to hold everything steady. So I'm curving this wire and then the other wire. So once you have this wire curved, so it's going here on the side, we're gonna focus on this wire. I'm just pushing here with my index finger, which is giving me the ability to kind of curve it around. And now I'm going to follow that other wire so that they're both going in this direction, just pressing it down so it's flush against the stone, and just kind of following. I don't want there to be a huge gap between these wires, so I'm just trying to bring them a little closer together. So if I'm going to look at it, the way that it's going to sit, it's going to be like this. This is the front, this is the bottom. So just like this. And now where you want these wires to go is you don't want them to be too low. You want them to be, so if we press this up, so our stone, because the stone is just constantly moving in there, so just really press it down in there. Hold it tight just for a minute. Ooh. It's slippery, isn't it? You want these wires to be above the middle line. So if you look at your stone and this is the middle, mine are above the middle, and I'm gonna now bend them from front to back, just bending them both. Okay, now I can kind of relax a little bit because I was pressing on these up to push them up. So my stone wasn't moving, so this is how it's looking as of right now. And there on the back, like this. I don't want there to be a gap here. I don't know if you noticed, but for a second there you could see this little gap. That's because the stone is sliding up, so I'm just gonna push it back down. That's kind of a sign that the stone is sliding up. And now these are gonna go across the back and they're gonna go to the front again. So see how here it's just above the middle and it's even kind of going further up. Now the wires are near the top. We're just gonna bend them onto the front here like this. So there we go. And actually, once you do that, the stone doesn't really slide around because it's kind of trapped up here. See how it's, the widest part is here in the middle and then it gets skinnier. So because we have this wire around the skinnier portion, the stone can't slide up through it because this part is wider. So it kind of helps keep it a little steady. So what we're going to do now requires a thin piece of wire, and I'm going to be using some 24 gauge wire. It's half round, dead soft copper, so I'm just going to cut myself a piece. And the piece that I cut is 6 inches long. Alright, so we're going to take this piece, and it has a flat side and a rounded side. Since it's half round wire, sorry guys, there's a little bit of construction going on outside, so if you hear some hammering, that's what's happening out there. Our neighbors are doing some construction. So we want to slide this wire, the flat side facing you, underneath these 2 wires, and you want to put it kind of in the middle. So you have half of the wire here and half of the wire here, just like this. All right, then we're going to take the top piece of wire and we are going to just put it under. We're basically just doing one wrap, so it's easiest for me to use my pliers and grab that little end and kind of pull on it and make this little wrap, and that helps this not move up and down. Like now our wire is wrapped around once, I can let it go, it's not going to fall through. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate these 2 wires. So this little wrap is going to help them not get too separated. So I'm going to take the top wire and I'm going to bend that up, and I'm going to take the bottom wire and I'm going to bend it down like this. So what you want to do with that top wire, because that's actually going to be our bail, is you want to bend it up so it's right in the middle top of your stone like this. So that when we bend it into the bail is here in the middle and not like on the side or something. So now I like to work upside down here, so I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to take this little piece of wire that I have here and I'm going to wrap that around a whole bunch of times, actually, around this little bit here. So I'm just taking it, putting it under, and then pulling it through with my pliers. And you have to do this for quite a while. So you have 2 options. You can either do it a few times, cut and tuck away the wire, and then start a new wire down here, or you can do this wire kind of all the way down. It's up to you. I don't even know if this is going to reach. We're going to try it. I don't know how far down this wire is going to reach, so I might have to start a new wire. We'll see. Let's finish this wire first so that I know how far down I need to go. So I'm just going to grab my wire cutters here. All right, so I'm going to curve this wire a little bit. I'm going to make a loop with it. So I'm going to curve it down and up. And then I'm going to come in here with my cutters and I'm going to cut it kind of where it meets up here, just like this. So now I can grab that little tip with my round nose pliers. I like to just kind of squish the tip of the wire, but you don't have to. However you do your little loop, whatever's easiest for you. So I'm just turning it with my round nose pliers, and I'm just making a little swirly loop. You might need to raise it from your stone. So like this. And then the key thing is when you put it down, it's still next to these other wires. You haven't curved it so much that now there's like a gap or something. So this is definitely good, but I kind of like to mess around with things and get them just perfect how I imagine them in my head. So I'm gonna come in here with my pliers and I'm just gonna move this just the teeniest little bit. All right, now it's good. Just gonna press down on it a little bit in case it got raised up. So what we wanna do is bring this wire all the way down and make a connection here. So I'm gonna see if this reaches. If it doesn't reach all the way down there, I might just need to start a new piece of half round wire. So we'll just see how it goes. This is also sliding down, so I'm gonna slide it back. So this is a little bit tedious, just have to wrap around and around, one little wrap at a time. All right, so I'm just gonna trim this off and start a new wire end. This isn't gonna be enough, and I wanna give myself some space here to attach the new wire. So I'm just gonna trim the little wire end. I'm gonna take it and tuck it down so it's pointing down, and I'm gonna press on it, kind of tuck it away there. Again, push it this way. I'm just making sure it's tight. So now I'm gonna cut myself another piece of half round wire. This one is about 5 inches long. So I'm going to start by attaching it here to my little swirl. So I have a little end of it here, and I'm just gonna wrap it around just the same little part here. I'm just gonna come up and meet up with that other wrap. So this is just to attach. So once you have like 4 wraps or so, that's probably adequate for your attachment, and we're just gonna trim that. And I'm just gonna push that little wire end down, kind of tuck it away, and now you can just move that down so it kind of seamlessly connects with your other wrap. So I'm glad it wasn't enough wire, because it gave me a chance to show you this, like what if your wire breaks or you just cut, you know, a very short piece of wire. There's a way you can just attach a new one. So now with this end of the wire, I'm just gonna wrap a few more times. You can use your fingers if that's easier to kind of feed it through here. You could even lift up this swirl, like if it's just really hard for you to get in there, you can lift it up. Because I want it to be kind of towards the bottom of the swirl, because I'm gonna attach it to those 2 wires. So if it's too high up, it's just not gonna reach very well. So I'm just gonna do some more little wraps here. And then if it separates, you can just push it together again. All right, so now Just kind of tighten that one last time. Now we're nice and low here, meeting up basically with these two wires. So we're gonna take the wire and put it underneath both the swirl and this set of two wires here. So as I pull it under, you can see it's coming out right here. So now I'm gonna do that again underneath the swirl and both wires. So by doing that again, I've created a little connection there like that, and you can do that one more time just to make it really attached there. Perfect. And now we're gonna do it, around only these two wires instead of a single wire. You could do it around the single wire here, but it's just really tight squeeze to get in there, so I think it's a little easier just to do around two wires. And then to finish off this wire, what you want to do after you've made a few wraps, just going to bring it across here and then cut it, but not super short. Leave yourself a little end, if you see my little end sticking up there, so that I could take it with my pliers and I can kind of curve it down in there and then press it down and kind of tuck it away under there. And now we have this little connection. I'm just gonna also press down on it a little bit with my pliers just to flatten it up. And there we have this little swirl attached. So now we're gonna come back up here to this wire. We're gonna take this wire, we're gonna keep it underneath this other wire that's gonna be our bail. So we're just gonna bring it underneath like this until you get to kind of in between these two wires, and then you can take it and you can wrap it around, either again with your hands or your pliers, whatever is easier. We're just going to wrap it around this wire that's going to be the bail, and you want to do this several times just so it's a nice strong connection, because that's holding that right there. So if you do it with your hands like I just demonstrated, a lot of times that'll create some spacing and you just have to push down on that with your pliers. And now I'm just gonna trim off that little wire end, and again just taking it, tucking it down in there and pressing it down to get rid of it. So now we just have to finish up our bail. So I'm making sure it is going straight up again, and you can use some kind of tool, something round, but I'm just going to use my finger to bend a curve in it like this. I'm just going to kind of pinch on that. There's our bail, and now on the back we just have to attach this wire, so you can have it attached to up here or down here. I think down here usually works a little bit better for me personally, so that's what I'm gonna do. So first I'm just gonna trim it, but leave myself a little end, and then you want to just raise this up ever so slightly so you have a little gap in there, so you can take this end and kind of curl it into that gap. My gap's not big enough, so I'm just raising it some more. There it is. Don't pull on this too hard, because you don't want to pull down your bail and get rid of it and make it like a super tiny bail. So we're just going to take this little wire end and kind of curve it to meet up with itself, and now just kind of close up that little loop there. And I like to press down on this wire to press it down against the stone, and that will help the back of it be nice and flat. So I'm pressing down on it here and here. I'm going to press down on this little loop as well. I'm just going to take a look at my bail. I think I need to just tilt it the littlest bit to the right. There we go. And that's it. Here is the finished piece, and here's what it looks like from the back.